This is a streetcar in Kansas City, Missouri. It's clean, modern, and it runs through downtown, Midtown, the Plaza, UMKC, and now all the way to the riverfront. And the weirdest part? It's completely free. No ticket machine, no tap card, no app, no fare gates. No awkward moment where a tourist from Iowa tries to understand a transit zone map. You just get on. Which is strange, because this is not Amsterdam, it's not Vienna, it's not Zurich. This is Kansas City, Missouri, in a state that is about just as red as Joe's barbecue sauce stain on a white t-shirt. Missouri voted for Donald Trump with 58.5% of the vote in 2024, and yet one of the best features of its largest city is a fare-free, publicly funded rail system running straight through an urban core. And that creates a very American contradiction, because if you describe this idea abstractly, let's increase taxes so we can build a publicly funded train through the city and make it free for everyone, a lot of Americans would immediately call it socialism. But if you actually go to Kansas City, ride the streetcar, and look at what's happening around it, it doesn't feel like socialism at all. It feels like a city remembering how cities are supposed to work. So, let's take a look. The Kansas City streetcar exposes something really important about American politics. Americans often hate the language of public investment, but they love the results when the public investment makes their cities cleaner, safer, more convenient, more valuable, and, well, more alive. And that's why I think the Kansas City streetcar is such a fascinating case study, because Kansas City didn't just build a train, it built a development spine. The streetcar now connects the riverfront, River Market, downtown, Crossroads, Union Station, Crown Center, Union Hill, Midtown, Westport, the Country Club Plaza, and UMKC. Visit KC describes the newly extended route as 6.5 miles with 30-plus stops operating every 10 to 15 minutes, and is still free to ride. And that matters because cities are not revived by good feelings. They're revived by certainty. A streetcar track is a promise. It says this route is not temporary. This connection is not going away next year. If you build apartments here, you open a restaurant here, or renovate a historic building, people will still be able to get there. And that's the real magic of rail infrastructure, not just a train looking good. Although, yes, I think it's very good looking. I mean, just check out that vista coming up from the Crossroads. The magic is that it gives investors, residents, universities, museums, restaurants, and small business owners a fixed piece of urban geography to organize around. But if it's your first time visiting the city, you might not realize it, but the city's streetcar story isn't just a futuristic project. It's more like a restoration. Kansas City used to be a streetcar city. Public transit in Kansas City began in 1869 with horse and mule-drawn cars. Thanks to the city's hilly terrain, Kansas City quickly adopted cable cars in 1885 under the consultation of San Francisco inventors, ultimately becoming one of the largest and most extensive cable networks in the United States. In the early 1900s, the lines were electrified, and the Kansas City Public Service Company, established in 1925, controlled a massive network with 25 routes covering over 300 miles of track that spanned well into Kansas. Okay, but pause for a second, because you gotta put those numbers into a bigger perspective. That's a larger network than the L in Chicago or the U-Bahn and Straßenbahn network in Berlin. Seriously. Unfortunately, like many American cities, Kansas City outgrew their streetcars and began to rebuild everything around the automobile. The old streetcar system was removed in 1957, after which buses became the region's main transit option. And this is the forgotten piece of American urban history. A lot of places Americans now think of as naturally car-dependent were not originally designed that way. They became that way. Kansas City's older neighborhoods, places like Midtown, Westport, River Market, and the urban core, were built around proximity. You had homes, shops, jobs, churches, bars, schools, apartments, markets, and streetcars all mixed together. But then the post-war American development machine arrived. Highways, parking lots, suburban expansion, downtown decline, urban renewal, retail fleeing outward, offices fleeing outward, families fleeing outward. And it's a tale as old as time in the United States. Eventually, the American city was just cut up into pieces. Downtown became a place you drove into for work and drove out of at 5:01 p.m. But the streetcar is powerful because it kind of reverses that logic. It says that the center of the city is not a relic, it's infrastructure. Now, whenever somebody says something like free public transit, there's always going to be that one guy in the comments. Nothing is free. Taxpayers pay for it. Yes, Kyle, thank you. We all passed 8th grade civics class. The interesting question is not whether the streetcar costs money. The interesting question is who pays for it and what do they get back in return. The Kansas City model is not just the government writes a check and hopes for the best. The streetcar is funded through a Transportation Development District, or TDD. The local funding includes a sales tax within the district and special property assessments. The downtown streetcar operating budget includes a sales tax of up to 1% within this TDD, plus property assessments on commercial, residential, city-owned, tax-exempt, and paid surface parking properties. For the Main Street extension, local shoppers and property owners along this corridor help to pay for the project through a 1% sales tax. And again, those special assessments, with those taxes scheduled to remain in place until 2045. The $350 million plus extension also used major federal funding. So to put this in normal person language, the streetcar is free at the point of use, but it's paid for by the geography that benefits from it. And that's actually the key to the whole thing. It's not everyone in rural Missouri is paying so that downtown Kansas City and hipsters can ride a tram to brunch. Although they can and they do. My personal favorite is the Westport Cafe. But it is much closer to the people and the businesses inside the streetcar benefit zone are paying into an infrastructure system that increases access, foot traffic, property value, and development potential in that same zone. And that's not anti-capitalist, that's capitalism with sidewalks. And the numbers are not subtle. After the Main Street extension opened in October 2025, ridership surged. KC Streetcar reported nearly 35,000 passenger trips during the 3-day opening weekend. In November 2025, the system carried over 341,000 passenger trips, which the Streetcar Authority described as the highest monthly ridership in system history. Average weekday ridership jumped from about 4,000 trips before the extension to about 10,000 trips after it opened. And weekend daily ridership doubled to about 14,000 trips. And that is the part that should make people pause. Because in a lot of American cities, transit is treated like a poverty service. It's what you use if you can't afford a car. But the Kansas City streetcar is something different. It is useful for tourists, office workers, students, families, sports fans, restaurant workers, museum visitors, and people of all walks of life. And quite frankly, people who just don't really want to pay $30 to park somewhere. And that's why free fares matter. A fare is not just a price, it's friction. Even a small fare creates the tiny moments of hesitation. Do I need to have a pass? Do I have exact change? Which app, which zone is it worth paying for just a 3-stop ride? But Kansas City removed all of that. And when you remove friction, people behave differently. They hop on for short trips, they connect neighborhoods, they make spontaneous decisions. They visit one more shop and go one more stop. And they treat a city like a connected place rather than just a sequence of parking lots. And while we're on the subject of vital infrastructure and development, your own data protection and privacy is one of those things that feels like it should be a standard part of everyone's digital experience, yet frustratingly seems to be something we often underinvest in as well. Scams are built on private data like your number, address, and shopping habits, and the damage goes beyond stolen cash. You risk important things like loss of financial reputation, identity theft, and privacy violation of your personal details. So whether you're privacy conscious or just don't like the idea that anyone anywhere can find out where you live or work, it just makes sense to take advantage of the service that keeps this information private, which is why I use the tools from the sponsor of today's video, Incogni. Incogni tracks down and removes your personal data from multiple sites, including online directories, people search sites, and even commercial databases. And I don't have to do anything. They do all of the legwork. Just sign up and give them permission to act on your behalf, and then they go out and find the list that you are on and demand that you be taken off. Plus, if you sign up for their unlimited plan, you have access to their custom removal feature to take down almost everything that is exposed about you online. Simply point them to where your data is being exposed, and their privacy experts will handle the rest. So while it may seem that taking back your personal data is challenging, their custom removals feature makes it effortless for you. Just give Incogni the link to a website that is sharing your information and watch it disappear in real time. And you know, they can't harm you if they can't find you. So use the code Ashton at the link below and get 60% off an annual plan at incogni.com/Ashton. But here's where the story, I think, gets really American, because the best argument for the Kansas City Streetcar isn't probably environmental. It's probably not even transportation. I think it's real estate. The Kansas City Streetcar Authority says the greater town has seen major development since 2014, including about $4 billion completed, another $1.2 billion under construction, and 1.7 million square feet of new or renovated office space, and more than 9,000 completed apartments. Downtown's residential population has also increased 44% since 2014, according to the Streetcar Economic Development page. Now, we should be careful. Not every dollar of development happened because of the streetcar. Cities are much more complicated than that. Interest rates matter, tax incentives matter, and national migration trends matter. Downtown revitalization efforts matter. And you have things like sports conventions, universities, and private developments happening all at the same time. But the streetcar is part of that package, and this is where Americans often misunderstand infrastructure. Infrastructure does not magically create demand out of thin air, but it does organize it. A fixed rail line tells the market, here's where the city is being serious. And that's why more often than not, a private developer is more likely to invest near a streetcar than a stop near a bus route that could just be rerouted next year. This is also why Kansas City's example is stronger than some other American streetcar projects. A University of Kansas write-up on modern streetcar research warned that streetcars can underperform when cities expect them to do too many conflicting things at once. A streetcar cannot magically solve housing, poverty, congestion, tourism, climate change, and downtown decline by itself. But Kansas City did something smarter. It put the streetcar through places that already had all of the good ingredients there: density, destinations, institutions, culture, walkability, and development potential. The streetcar did not invent Kansas City, but it did connect the parts of Kansas City that were ready to become more useful. And the Main Street extension is especially important in Kansas City because it connects downtown to Midtown and UMKC. And Midtown is where the story becomes really much more than just tourism. Axios reported that Midtown's population fell from about 73,000 residents in 1950 to around 28,000 today. And that is a staggering decline. And also basically the story of urban America in just one neighborhood. So when Kansas City extends the streetcar through Midtown, this is not just a train to the Plaza, it's an attempt to bring the city back together. Union Hill, Armour, Southmoreland, the Nelson Atkins Museum, the Plaza, UMKC Westport, place I actually used to live for a little bit. These are not random dots on a transit map. They're places where housing, education, culture, restaurant, jobs, and public life can all reinforce each other. The city also redesigned Main Street around this extension. More than half of the Main Street extension uses exclusive transit lanes, and the project added pedestrian improvements, including sidewalks, crosswalks, curbs, ADA ramps, medians, landscaping, and the new Plaza Transit Center connecting the buses and the streetcars together. And that matters because good transit is not just the vehicle, it's the street around the vehicle. Because a streetcar in a hostile 6-lane road is a novelty, but a streetcar in a walkable corridor is urban infrastructure. But they didn't just stop there. In May of this year, Kansas City opened the riverfront extension. Now, this is only 0.7 miles, which may sound small if you live in a country where everything is measured in highway exits. But in a city, 0.7 miles can be the difference between technically nearby and functionally disconnected. The riverfront extension connects the previous route from the River Market to Berkeley Riverfront Park, including the growing riverfront area near the KC Stadium, restaurants, a beer garden, and new development. KCUR reported that the full system now runs about 6.5 miles from UMKC to Berkeley Riverfront Park. And again, the point is that it's not just about transportation, it's about access because, again, I lived there. Before this, the riverfront was close to downtown, but still awkward to reach without a car. And that's the classic American urban geography. The thing is right there, but the infrastructure makes it feel far away. But the streetcar changes that. Suddenly, the riverfront is not an isolated redevelopment district. It's part of the city's daily mental map. And I think that's really what's so great about urban infrastructure. It just makes places feel closer together. So now we have to ask the funny but obvious question, is this socialism? I mean, come on, it's a free train, public funding, taxes on businesses and personal property, government oversight, public infrastructure used to stimulate development. If you put all of that into a Fox News headline, it would sound like the fall of Western civilization.
The rise of socialism has never been more clear.
This is sugar-coated socialism. It's like sugar-coating poison, sweet at the front, deadly at the end.
But in practice, of course, this is not socialism. It's a public-private growth machine. Businesses pay because they benefit. Property owners pay because access increases land value. Riders do not pay at the door because the city decided that the friction of collecting fares was less valuable than the economic activity created by easy movement. And this is not a rejection of markets, it's an understanding of markets, because markets need infrastructure. There is no free market without roads, sewers, electricity, ports, airports, schools, courts, police, zoning, property records, and transportation networks. The only difference is that Americans have kind of been trained to see highways as normal, but trains as ideological. I mean, think about it. Spend billions widening highways to subsidize suburban commuting? Totally normal. Spend millions on a streetcar that brings foot traffic to small businesses? Socialism. That double standard, I think, really is the real story. But this video should not be solely a streetcar propaganda video. There are some fair criticisms here. First and foremost, streetcars are expensive. The Main Street extension cost about $352 million, funded again through a mix of federal and local money. The riverfront extension cost about $62 million for just 0.7 miles. And those costs include the millions of dollars in savings the city did by piggybacking their initial streetcar order with Cincinnati's vehicle procurement of CAF Urbos 3 streetcars from the same manufacturer. Second, streetcars are not always the best transit tool. Sometimes a bus-only lane, a bus rapid transit, or a protected bike infrastructure, or just simply better regional bus frequency gives you more mobility for the money. And to Kansas City's credit, it appears that they are also investing more in that as well. I was pleasantly surprised to see new, freshly marked bike lanes in and weaving around the same neighborhoods. Third, development can create displacement. If public investment raises nearby property values, but the city does not build enough housing or protect vulnerable residents and small businesses, revitalization can become a polite word for pricing people out with gentrification. Fourth, streetcars are limited in that they only serve already successful corridors. Kansas City's next challenge is going to be whether or not it can extend better transit east-west and connect more neighborhoods beyond just this north-south spine. KCUR reported that officials are studying future extensions, including a possible east-west route towards 18th and Vine and along 39th Street and Linwood Boulevard. It's a long shot, literally, because the distance, but it would be phenomenal to see a streetcar system extend out east for a Royals game. Although, admittedly, that's probably going to be a little bit difficult now that the Chiefs are moving, but I digress. You see, the real test is going to be just that. A streetcar alone is impressive, but a truly great transit city is not just one line, it's a network. But that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it, because Kansas City's free streetcar works as a symbol because it breaks the American political script. It is public, but it's practical. It's free, but it's funded. It's urban, but it's not anti-business. And most curiously, it's in a red state, but it solves a problem that ideology usually makes harder. And I think that's the real lesson here. Americans do not hate public infrastructure. They hate the feeling that public money disappears into nothing. But when they can see it, write it, use it, build around it, and watch neighborhoods come back to life, the politics change. And again, don't get me wrong, the Kansas City streetcar is not perfect. It will not serve every transportation problem. It will not fix housing affordability by itself. And it will not erase decades of sprawl, disinvestment, and car dependency. But it does something very rare in American urbanism. It makes a city feel like a city again. And that's why this little free streetcar in Missouri matters. Because it shows that even in the United States, even in a red state, even in a car country, a place where public investment can sometimes sound like a dirty phrase, public infrastructure will be supported by the people when it's useful, viable, and tied to local prosperity. So, maybe the problem was never that Americans hated trains. Maybe the problem is that we forgot how much we like places worth arriving at. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section of this video. And as always, if you enjoyed what you saw today, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And for more content from Type Ashton, hit that subscribe button. So, I'll see you next time. Tschüss!